Hello, everyone, and welcome to another What's the Point, where we talk a little bit about economic development in Wyoming. I'm Josh Durrell, the CEO of the Wyoming Business Council, and today I'm sitting here with Sam Seeton from Infinite Outdoors. Sam, thanks for being on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Honored to be here.
Yeah, well, great. Well, so let's just start with the basics. So who are you, and tell me a little bit about Infinite Outdoors.
Yeah, so I'm Sam Seeton, CEO, co-founder of Infinite Outdoors, and we're I always describe it as like a conservation access platform. So we're a technology company that was designed to better help people access the outdoors. Our kind of main purpose originally was to solve a solution for my own family ranch and better manage our hunting and fishing recreation access. Didn't like the status quo of leasing away our rights to any form of recreation, especially being a big sportsman ourselves. But so that's kind of what started it, creating a technology to manage the short-term access better. And it's since grown to being a platform that's has advanced digital mapping, helps people find all their public land, help people find private boundaries, even opening up landlocked public across Wyoming, the West, and all sorts of areas, and then catering to 1.5 million acres of private landowners that use our platform now. So.
Wow. Okay, so I want to jump into that here in a second, but tell me a little bit about you. So where were you born? Where'd you grow up? How'd you get to Wyoming?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I was born in Colorado.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah, we're a long time Colorado ranching and mining family, predate this state by a lot. And actually, like town of Pueblo used to partially be our ranch. Like it goes back that far. First mare Telluride was my great-great-grandfather. So like long time Colorado people. I grew up, spent time to our family ranch in central Colorado, and then a farm on the Front Range, not far from where we are now, but on the Colorado side. So yeah, grew up there, went to high school there, went to Colorado School of Mines, got an engineering degree, and played football there, and then even had some of my earlier out of college jobs working for Anheuser-Busch in Front Range of Colorado, and doing all that, and actually even founded Infinite Outdoors as a Colorado company before eventually moving and migrating everything to Wyoming when I really felt the pressure to seek greener pastures and better business climate.
Nice. Well, that's good to hear that we represent greener pastures and a better business climate. I think we all see that, but it's not always obvious. And I think everybody has work to do, and so we tend to focus on the work, not necessarily all the green pastures that we have. But yeah, that's great to hear. So let me just see if I can understand your platform a little bit in your app. So if I am a hunter and I want access to maybe some private land that I wouldn't normally have access to, I could go onto your app. I can sort of pay for access and then have access to that to hunt or fish, depending on what's available by the landowner. Yep. And I can do all that all through an app. I don't have to, I don't have to have an outfitter or talk to drive up to the farmhouse or ranch house and say, "Can I use your land?"
Yeah, exactly. So it's the entire process can be done entirely from your phone. All the landowners that are on the platform, they've had to be accepted to it, and that means being willing to work with our biologists to set harvest quotas, conservation standards, ensure that it's actually a quality property, so it's there, it's priced what reality is in the market, and then and then you just go through the app, pay them directly through the app for that access to hunt or fish or do whatever on a section of it, and then the app even helps you navigate on there. So at no time, it's not like you need someone to come out and be like, "Here's the pasture here, you can't go here." It's all geofenced, shows your location offline. You know right where you're at all times, what the landowner's rules and regulations are, and you get to help support their operations and their ability to continue to farm and ranch, and then you have the most affordable way to access private land at the same time.
Okay, so I drive up in my truck and I park in the parking area wherever I want, and it basically says you can hunt this area. You might be one of 2 or 3 that are hunting that day, or you could be on your own.
Yeah, usually it's exclusive. So so when you get it for a block of time, that section of the ranch, whatever it is yours and only yours unless you invite someone else in your party. So it's very, very exclusive, so you have high quality control. Now ranches are, they can be divided into smaller
sections or something.
Geofence sections, usually for like a conservation perspective. So we can micromanage how many like mule deer, like one section here, that's a 4,000 acre section, might have a quota of 4 deer per year that can be harvested. So might be there, but that ranch owner can own 20,000 acres. So there's 5 different sections on there, but no overlapping of the users.
Nice. Okay. And then you mentioned to me that it's not just for hunting, but it's also for access for folks who just want to recreate. So if I'm a mountain biker, I might want to do this, or if I want to go hiking, or take my family out there and mess around for a day, you can do the same type of thing?
Yeah, 100%. So a lot of people are familiar with companies like All Trails or Onyx and all those, and they charge for that data. That's actually 100% free on our app. That's just the base layer that all the other things are built on top of. So you could go on, get the app, look at all the public land data, and even like trail systems and things like that, right on the app for free for anybody to do any sort of recreation.
And do you have hunting areas overlaid as well, or is that not part of yours?
On one of our apps, I think we have certain GMUs, depends on the state, because we operate across the country.
Right.
That's more of like a free service we like to give to people. We don't make money on that side. Mainly public, private trail data and game management units, depending on state and area.
Nice. Okay, so people should go out and download this app and check it out.
I would recommend it.
I agree. Yeah, I think so too. But let's because we could talk about hunting and all of that stuff all day long. But what I want to do is maybe take a dive into the idea of what made you want to become an entrepreneur. It sounded like you had you have an engineering degree. You went to work for some companies and did some things like that. What the heck happened to you?
Yeah.
or what started this?
Yeah. To be completely honest, I'm probably way more premeditated than the normal person. The reason I got, went to the school that I did, got the degree that I did, it was all for the end goal of, what's the quickest path to then work for myself. So I used, being decent at football to get a scholarship into a school that I probably wouldn't have been able to academically get into. So that was like step one. I'm like, what's the highest paid degree that you can get in 4 years, which is petroleum engineering. So I'm like, all right, I guess I'm going to be a petroleum engineer. And then market crashed right as I was graduating. So I'm like, what's the next best thing? I'm like, well, everyone likes beer. They drink when they're happy. They drink when they're sad. I'll do that. Learn supply chain. Went up the corporate ladder at Anheuser-Busch the whole time. Just was starting other small businesses on the side and a little real estate thing here, hunting club there. Reinvesting the money I had in myself so that I could get to the level of going full time and under my own roof. So it was very. The end goal was always to be an entrepreneur, work for myself, feel my passion, but I wanted to. You have to make money to be able to deploy it in other ways. So that was the path that I chose to take.
I like it. Okay, so you kind of always had this plan to do it, and then how did you land upon this? Are you really good at software development? Did you love apps? How did this happen?
No. Yeah. I love solving problems. So that's. I handed that at the start. That's what really kind of teed everything off, was when I was had an issue with my own ranch. So our co-founder of Infinite Outdoors, he's the smart guy in this equation. He had software engineering and also grew up on a ranch. Also had the same issues. So that's. But in my background and my ultimate job that I actually had after I moved to Wyoming, it was a remote job, but I was doing distribution process optimization, basically business management for all of the distribution centers for North America for Anheuser-Busch. So it was just how to create sustainable processes, run really efficiently, manage a very complex supply chain, and all of that. Those business fundamentals are applicable everywhere. So I kind of knew how to form those things, use that to better get the roadmap for what's Infinite Outdoors, line it all out, and then go to the really smart people to execute on the engineering and development of the actual app.
Okay. So we talked a little bit about like the product idea, the technology you use to do it. So how do you get customers? How does that work?
Yeah, that's a complicated thing that we have to deal with that a lot of industries don't, is we have to balance the supply and the demand. With the landowners and the users at the exact right balance. And obviously we don't always hit it perfectly, but because if you don't have enough users, you don't deliver the best solution for your landowners. And if you have too many users, now they're upset because they can't get the access that they want.
Yeah.
So it's, and there's no like one. I wish there's just like an easy button. Like, this is what we do. We just feed this marketing channel and it works for everything. There's a vast array of different digital marketing things we do, organic outreach, meeting ranchers where they're at on different farm and other, doing podcasts, describing how they can describe, how they can make more money and things like that. But our most consistent, biggest bucket still is from referrals. Once we get someone onto our platform on either side, we're always focused on being true to our word. Like, if we're the best solution for a rancher or farmer, we're going to prove it. And then that means that they tell their neighbors. It's not a zero-sum game. They're like, this worked great for me. We can add it here. Now that allows us to get more users. Right. And on the same side, we ensure that they have a really good experience of everything they're doing, and then they refer and they invite other people on there. So you get a lot of organic crowdsourced growth. And if we didn't have that, then frankly, I'd be doing something wrong. I should probably, pull the plug.
Yeah. I think that is the testament to it, right? Is that if you're getting the word of mouth or referrals, and people are saying, hey, we did this and you should do it too, and it's not, like you said, it's not a zero-sum game. People are saying, that's not going to take away from mine. It's going to allow this business to grow.
Right.
That's great. And everybody wants a two-sided situation. Everybody wants to get bites out of both sides of the apple until they have to realize it's really hard to do. So good on you for getting that done. What does the competitive landscape look like out there for apps like this?
Yeah, there's a lot of companies that want to play in this industry, but frankly, all of our what people from the outside would consider competitors, I don't think they really are, because they've come at it from the perspective of we're going to rip off Airbnb. They look at it from a how can I make money perspective instead of a how can I solve a problem perspective, which is very different. If you go into entrepreneurship, you're like, how can I make money? One, you're going to be very disappointed because you're not going to make a lot of money for a very long time. But you're also then not going to be successful if you didn't come there to solve an actual problem. So that's the problem. Ranchers and farmers want to ranch and farm. Our other competitive landscape, they all require them to be messaging back and forth, being very hands-on. They don't have the tech solution to allow them to still be ranchers and farmers, and then still facilitate a seamless transaction, make those economies of scale work, especially on those cheaper items like waterfowl hunting, fly fishing, things like that. So, there are ones in there, but almost exclusively have taken that approach instead of a tech company that's solving a problem. We're a marketplace that's ripping off Airbnb. So.
And I think that's the other thing that when you think about the entrepreneur's playbook, understanding the problem really well and coming up with a solution to the problem instead of chasing the money or saying, oh, well, I'm just going to take this idea and plop it on this other thing.
Right.
I think that's a trap, right? Because people are going to push you into that trap, especially if you take on investors early and all of those things. You're going to be forced into areas that maybe don't work that well.
Right.
And so as a result, you've been able to stay focused on the problem. And apparently, you don't mind not eating for a while and all that stuff. I mean, like whatever it takes. But I think it just shows that I think that's a really important component of entrepreneurship, is realizing I got to love the problem, not the solution I have, or not the big money that may or may not be out there. I got to solve the problem, and that other stuff will take care of itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's the key. And because I see so many people, I call it being unconsciously incompetent. Like they might be good at running a business elsewhere, and they're like, and there's obviously some crossover. Like my experience at logistics and Anheuser-Busch, like there's some core business principles that carry over. But the reason why they carry over well to Infinite is I do the ranching side, I do the farming side. I'm an avid outdoorsman, and then I had the business. So you had that. Yeah. That doesn't just work when you go in there, because you get into places where you think you come in, you don't even know your incompetencies in an area, and then you get into a rut, and then that's how you fail as an entrepreneur. But.
And I mean, along those lines, you have all of these areas of expertise, but what are the things that you're learning as an entrepreneur that about those areas, or about yourself, or about business that you didn't know before that?
Yeah, constantly learning new things. Like one of my favorite phrases is, I don't even know what I don't know. Like in the next year, I look back, I'm like, how the heck did I survive and get to this point? Because like there's so many rocks I didn't even know to flip over to look under.
Yeah. Okay, so why Wyoming? So yeah, you kind of glossed over that. It was just like a green pasture and business stuff, which I agree. But for real, like that's not a decision. How did you make that decision?
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of different things went into it. I mean, before even the business perspective, I'm a big outdoorsman. I love hunting and fishing, and there is not a better place. And like, as someone who probably has more authority to say that, running the business I do than anyone else, Wyoming is the best spot for fishing, hunting, outdoor recreation. So
can you say that again? Just say it louder. Say it again. Say it louder. Yeah. We'll use that part.
Put a sign on there. Yeah.
We'll probably just replay that a lot.
Just put it on loop and
just put that on loop. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I agree. Yeah.
So I mean, that was step number one. Like I always knew that, even as. I mean, the people that I hate now used to be me, a greenie coming up. I had a drift boat sitting at Alcova and a little fifth wheel, for as long as I can remember, coming up and, stealing Wyoming's trout opportunities. And so that was always on my radar. But as, there's like a few, like, as long as I can remember, I'd come up and I'd go fishing all over the place. I have family that's lives in Wyoming too, like my cousin's the track coach for University of Wyoming. I have other people up in Sheridan that's a builder. So like it was always on my radar, but even just the economic advancement in Casper specifically is what originally drew me, because I remember going through it like when I was younger. I'm like, man, it's windy, it's ugly, there's nothing, because I was just looking through what I'd been brainwashed into on that side, and I drive through, there's got a trailer here, trailer there. But then all of a sudden, like, wait, is that a golf course? No, it used to be a refinery.
And then all of a sudden, that's right. Yeah.
Driving over and I'm looking and in the downtown, like, oh, well, there's this David Street Station. Like, oh, this is freaking cool. And I just kept seeing it build up. And then I remember like, vividly on one trip, I'm like, man, I could live here. And then a few years later, got promoted to get an AB from running one of those regional distribution centers to managing all of them. And that was a remote one because I just had to travel a lot. And I was like, we're getting out of here. And at the same time, my fiance at the time was, working in the Denver Tech Center. The road was getting closed down by protesters and stuff, and in 2020, and I was like, there's no reason not to. Like and at that time that was an economic decision. I had the ability through remote work to move there, and that's how we originally got there. Because I'm like, this fits the dream. I can now support the ability to do that. But that was also kind of short. And at that time, I'd started Infinite just more so because I was trying to solve a problem, not make a business. I wanted to make it scalable. I was doing that manually for some friends, and it's like I can't keep doing my corporate job in that. And that's actually what originally made the need to put some tech backing behind it so that I could not get fired from my day job. But so when I moved to Wyoming, that was already in effect. It was run as a Colorado company. Had a couple employees working on that. But then Anheuser-Busch called and like, we want to promote you again, and like, do you want to move to St. Louis or Seattle? I'm like, no, that's not how it works. I'm like, what are my opportunities if I can just stay here to work? I'm like, well, you're dead in your career. You're not doing it anymore, and that's that was kind of the what changed the needle. I'm like, okay, well, I have this business here. It's got a lot of potential. It continues to grow. Time to take a self-imposed pay cut and make this big enough to support me and other people, and that's what kind of thrust us into the entrepreneurship for a living. Like that's when I knew that was my time to transition over. And like, if there was an opportunity to do what I was doing or wanted to do, I'll just make my own.
That's cool. That's super cool. Yeah. I think a lot of people face that challenge, right? Mm-hmm. They love Wyoming a lot. I know a guy who loves Wyoming a lot and got to a spot in a company where it was like, well, you could stay there, but you're not going to go anywhere else until unless you want to move to Chicago or New York.
Right.
And all of those are great places. St. Louis and Seattle, they're just fine places.
Yeah, for some people, not for me.
That I want to live. Yeah. And I think people face that in Wyoming, and that's the entrepreneur route is one route, and then one of the things we're trying to do is make it so that you could move around and have that kind of career mobility within a community, and not have to, to be lucky.
Right.
And you took the path that wasn't about luck. You took the hard path. You took the really hard path of kind of climbing that entrepreneurship mountain. I know quite a few people who have done that. That's can be a little bit lonely and challenging, right? So I'm guessing you said your fiance at the time, she bailed then, right? She was like, I'm not sticking around this guy. He's crazy.
She came with me, actually.
Okay, all right. That's good to hear.
Yep.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
So that she saw it too. She and for us, timing just worked out as well because that was during COVID, so then her job went remote, and I was like, yeah, let's get out of here. And I was like, and if you don't have your job, I can support it on my salary. Fun fact, she ended up being Miss Wyoming USA 2022, so I also imported Miss Wyoming.
Okay, so thanks a lot. See, that's pretty good. Not bad. All right. That's fantastic.
Now my wife, obviously, and we just celebrated our son's first birthday yesterday.
Congratulations.
So we're just trying to bring the population.
Population, you know what? That's meaningful. In Wyoming, that every person is meaningful, so good job.
We'll just breed it in.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we can keep growing. Yeah. Okay, so you're still in Casper? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you know what? I agree with you on Casper. I've lived here my whole life. And Casper, in the last decade or 15 years or so, I feel like it's transformed. It's just a completely different place. Really a pretty amazing place. I think the investment that Casper has made in itself does a lot for that.
Absolutely.
So it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, no, Casper's, I never would have dreamed that growing up, but now I'm like I would never leave anywhere. Because even now at the point of our company, I could go to anywhere in Wyoming that I want, but I'm like, chose Casper and I could move anywhere in the world. I'm going to stay there. I don't see any reason to ever leave, and it's only improving. Might as well lock in my real estate now.
There you go. There you go. Okay, so tell me a little bit more about where you see Infinite Outdoors going, and what are the things that are, we're obviously focused on economic development in Wyoming.
Yep.
And so we think about what are some really great jobs, what are opportunities that could be opened up for Wyomingites. How do you see Wyoming, or how do you see your business growing, and how does Wyoming play a part in that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Wyoming, the whole reason why our company was able to grow to where it's at and now has even bigger horizons was because of the different state opportunities. So a big thing that was happening in tandem with getting that ultimatum from my corporate job was there's a startup competition in Casper, and we ended up winning that, but we were still a Colorado company. So also one of those stipulations, one, I need the capital because I was floating everyone's salaries out of the excess of my personal salary, not taking a dime to any of this, and then it started seeing that the writing on the wall. I'm like, let's grow it, but to that point, didn't really realize that a lot of businesses grow from help. I was like, man, I just got to gut this out. It turns out that's really, really hard. But then had that opportunity, won it, got some grant money that allowed us, because one of those stipulations was
you're extending your runway.
Extending my runway, giving us some more time, and that allowed us to extend our runway. Forced our hand, converted it to a Wyoming company. We had some additional capital. That was, the University of Wyoming helped support part of that too. I think the Business Council, there's money was routed all through those same channels, and it actually even opened up additional press because they did something, then that got picked up by Outdoor Life, one of the biggest outdoor publications, and then that led to other like Breakthrough 307 group asking are you guys open to taking on other investments? And then that started, led to an investment there, which then led to other farming and ranching families in the area requesting to also invest, which then grew onto that, and then got us more momentum, and then introduced us to other people in the state that showed other great programs like the Department of Workforce Services, how we get interns. Like our head of Android development is the guy we hired right out of UW. He desperately didn't want to leave the state, and he's been able to remain here. Now lives in Casper and grew up in Riverton and didn't have to leave to go to Denver where the normal tech jobs are. And so that's all just continued to accelerate our growth and give us those resources to people, to capital, and allow us to get that faster growth, to hire more people and make more of a difference.
Good. Well, and I think that's a piece that a lot of times people think, oh, well, you should be able to do all of it on your own. And I think what people forget is that in other places like Denver, it would actually be pretty easy to run into people that can help you with app development, help you with those startup competitions, or provide that gap, there's a gap there, and that might be handled by the private market in really densely populated places. There might be other resources that are part of it. But in Wyoming, we're bootstrapping that as well, right? So you're bootstrapping and we're kind of bootstrapping along with you. And I think that's something that, when people can see the path, see somebody like you navigate that path, they understand, I see how that program fits in there. And so I think understanding your story is really important for Wyomingites to realize, one, it's possible. It's a lot of hard work and you got to focus on the problem, which is important. But two, it's possible to do if you kind of look out there and see how to put those pieces together. So let me ask you a question that might seem hard, because I want you to be critical of Wyoming for a minute. Okay. And I know it's going to be hard because it seems like you love it a lot. And I hear you. You're talking to somebody who loves it too, but I want her to be better. So when you were going through this, what were places where we could have been better?
I don't know. That's a hard question to answer, because from my position of bootstrapping and starting, like, I expected no help. I thought that was the default. So as I stumbled across these things, I'm like, oh my God, that's a thing. Like, I can get out there, or I'm starting to drown in one area and then something just pops. I'm like, oh shit. So I mean, like, from my perspective, I've already been able to have access and get more help and guidance than I ever imagined or ever would expect from anybody. This is hard for me to answer that without sounding entitled, because I don't never want to come
which I appreciate. And actually, I think that's really important, because what we never want to be is like helping people who are not willing to help themselves. Right, like, I think that's a real Wyoming value too. Is that we don't want to just make it easy for people to blow money and fail. Right. And I think that struggle that you're going through, it's important. It's important for us to not make it easy, because businesses who have it easy, they can't win in the long run. Right. Like, that's just not how it works. So I think that path that you're talking about is something that we want to celebrate, which is this isn't just handout after handout and trying to make it easy for you. It's like those things are there, sort of like the parachute almost, like at the right time you need it, and otherwise you don't, and you don't want to use it. And I think that's the kind of environment we want to encourage. Right.
And I think you guys have done a great job of that, because anything that we've ever applied for, like a trade show grant or anything like that, it's not like it's just, here, check a box and a check shows up. It's like explain how this benefits you, why this opportunity is not available to you without this, or how can this accelerate your growth, and then afterwards, like, what was the actual impact? What was the deliverables? Which I like. I mean, I'm probably like a lot of Wyoming people, I lean very conservative. So in my gut is to not
take that,
not to take hands, but at those areas too, like the impact that it's had is. Like, I'm too stubborn to fail, but that doesn't mean that I wouldn't have, like, my level of success might still have been, working somewhere and doing this, and I have 2 part-time employees and it's not making a real impact, versus now getting, on track. Like, our 2030 projections is to have 75 employees. We already have 1.5 million acres of landowners on the platform that are also generating income across Wyoming. Like, we would have been nowhere near that had we not had the ability to, and access to those and all the extra employees and stuff that now didn't have to leave Wyoming.
Now didn't have to leave. And I think that's just it, is that 99% of the work, effort, and capital that you're working with, that's you. That's the thing, and I think there's these little, what I like to call surgical interventions from time to time that can help, and what they should do is not just get you over the hump; they should propel you forward. And I think that's where a lot of people think, oh well, I need to just get to the next day, and it's like, no, we want you to get to something better. And I think that's the piece where you've clearly utilized that with the growth that you're seeing. So before we go, I kind of want to know. You mentioned your 2030 growth plans, right? And where you think you ought to be. Like Infinite Outdoors. So if it's like wildly successful, what does that look like for you in the state? What does that look like?
I mean, if it's wildly successful, that just means I get to continue to reinvest more and more into the state. Bring more like I'm obviously not shy about my love for the state and the impact there. I mean, regardless of our company, if it's wildly successful, like our owners of Infinite Outdoors is almost exclusively Wyoming people. It's additional capital. The business wouldn't go anywhere. Even if we ever exited and sold to a different entity, it still has all of these landowners, these users, these employees, and stuff that are in there. And now you have additional capital employ. Like one thing, I'm sure you know, entrepreneurs don't stop being entrepreneurs. So even if for some reason I'm not the one steering it forever, and it's wildly successful, then give me. Like my wife always complains about this. She's like, yeah, you need to just run Infinite forever, because I know the second you stop, now you're just going to go through that really, really painful startup stage.
Again, and maybe with two this time at the same time.
And
right?
now I just have that much more resources and capital to deploy and know what to do, and have the people that I already know from doing that to hire and continue to grow and evolve.
That's right. Well, good. Well, first of all, appreciate the time here. Appreciate that you love Wyoming as much as you do, and I think you're a great spokesperson for entrepreneurship, because again, we're not trying to make it easy, and you realize it's not. And I think going through it the way you have is just it's inspiring, and I hope that people watch this and say, okay, it's possible. And if I really love the problem and I really love Wyoming, I can make it happen here. And I just think it's great. So
Absolutely.
Sam, thanks for sitting down with me and telling me your story and your plans for the future and how Wyoming's a part of it. It makes me really happy. So thank you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.